Hey everybody, welcome back. Am I muted?
I hear you, Judy.
Okay, good. Hope you all had a good chance to stretch and drink water and whatnot. Next we have Mitch Cohen, who has pre-recorded a video, so we'll go ahead and play that. And afterwards, Mitch will come back and he'll do a live Q&A. So if you want to ask any questions, just go to his Slack channel. And yeah, let's get started.
Welcome to A Few Minutes with Sysdiagnose. I'm Mitch Cohen. Slides will be available at the GitHub page located here, or contact me anytime on Twitter, email, or my microblog. Sysdiagnose is a tool primarily for reporting bugs to Apple. It includes lots and lots of information about the device and recent operations to help Apple diagnose the bug, but we're going to be talking about how it can help you as an independent developer. Sysdiagnose is available on all of Apple's platforms, plus Xcode and Mail on macOS, but we'll be focusing on iOS today. More information on Sysdiagnose is available on Apple's developer page, located here. To generate a Sysdiagnose file, you take your iPhone and you press both of the volume buttons and the side button or the top button on an older device for about a second or a second and a half. Don't press them too long or else the iPhone will restart. When you release the buttons, your iPhone will vibrate, but if it's an iPad, iPads don't know how to vibrate. Then you wait a few minutes. Then open up Settings, go into Privacy, Analytics and Improvements, and Analytics Data, and you'll see the list of crash logs plus your new Sysdiagnose file, which is tagged with the date and time. Tap into it, you won't see very much, but press the share button and you can share any way you could share anything on iOS, such as AirDrop or saving to iCloud Drive. Once you get it onto your Mac, you'll see it's a zip file. It's pretty big, 254 megabytes in this case. Unzip it, and you'll see lots and lots and lots of data. We'll go through a few of that right now. First thing we'll look at is a folder called Crashes and Spins. It contains the crashes and spin dumps for, it seems like, about the past 24 hours, but could be more than that depending upon the device. Your crashes are not symbolicated, so if you're not familiar with how, go ahead and look at this article or many others on the internet about how to symbolicate your crash file. Hopefully you have your DINSym file from building. First file we'll look at in detail is the system logs file. System logs is exactly the same kind of thing you'll see in console on your Mac. It is huge. Let's take a quick detour into something that can be helpful when you generate your logs. System logs contain all of the logs generated by your application, including info logs. So in OS log, you can specify a type of the log, and info is the lightest weight, so you can generate these things like crazy. They just get stored in memory and dumped out as soon as the application exits. However, if your application crashes, they'll get saved into your log. And that's what we're going to do here. So in this make-believe application, I'm saving a magic numerator and a magic denominator. And then in our system log, after the user has complained about the application crashing, we can see, hey, our magic numerator was 100 and our magic denominator was 0, and we got a division by 0. I wonder what happened here. Of course, you got a division by 0 error. But this is great because it's really, really lightweight. Here's another situation. User shows you their screen, and it looks like this, and your temptation is to say, bring it to the Apple Store and dump it in the trash. But then You look in your Sysdiagnose file and you see this accessibility plist file, and you've got an invert colors preference, which is true. So actually, they've inverted their colors, and that's why it looks like this. There's a lot of accessibility information on the phone, and it's all the settings are saved in Sysdiagnose. Very, very, very helpful. Reduce motion is another one that a lot of people will set, and that's helpful if somebody complains that your animations aren't working right. Maybe you've got a bug that the animations don't complete properly if reduce motion is enabled. Another useful file that you'll find in the Sysdiagnose is Locale current user. First thing we'll talk about here is the preferred content size. So this is what the user will do if they go into settings, display and brightness and text size, and make things a little bit different. Large is actually the default, but you'll see one of about a dozen different choices here based upon the slider value. This can be useful if the text in your application displays at a size that is unexpected. You can also see the languages currently installed on the user's device in the same current user file. In this case, this device has both US English and US Hebrew installed. You can also look at the device's current locale, which is US English. There are two process-related files in Sysdiagnose. ps.txt has all of the currently running processes, and psthread.txt has all the currently running processes and their threads. These files contain the current CPU percentage and a bunch of other data that might be helpful if the user, for example, gathers the Sysdiagnose while your app is running. Associated domains are very, very helpful in terms of their diagnostic with Sysdiagnose. Associated domains are used for universal links, continuity, and password autofill by maintaining a connection between your app and your domain on the internet. When you install an application with an associated domain, the operating system, not your app, tries to fetch the Apple Site Association file. Your app is never told of success or failure, so diagnosing these problems can be real challenging until you open up the log file. Search for the process swcd, and you'll see all of the actions being taken by the process that handles the associated domains. In this case, here's an associated domain that has failed enough that it won't be tried until sometime in the distant future. You'll note that the domain is obfuscated in the log for privacy reasons, although that's not too helpful later, as we'll see. Another way of looking at associated domains is the swcutilshow.txt file, which contains all of the gory details which I've had to obfuscate myself. In this case, this is a domain that is unreachable because this particular domain on an app that I work on is associated only when logged into the VPN. But you'll see these if, for example, as I've seen, a proxy server at the customer's end might be misconfigured and doesn't allow the files to pass through or the domain in question to pass through. When reviewing Sysdiagnose files, think about privacy because, as you can see, there's a lot of customer-related data in here. There doesn't seem to be a lot of user-generated data, but the metadata is very, very rich. You can figure out all of the apps that are installed on the user's device. You can get all sorts of details about the hardware and the device configuration, network connections, keychain pairs, which are all of the devices that are associated with the user's keychain. You can find things like what Wi-Fi networks the device has been near recently, even if they haven't joined them. That's in a Wi-Fi scan cache file. And there's a very large binary file called lsaw.cscoredump, which is probably something that Apple knows how to diagnose, but I'll bet if you search around on the internet, you can find out a little bit more about that file and what it contains. That does it for a few minutes with Sysdiagnose. I hope you've enjoyed the ride. And again, if you have any questions, drop me an email, talk to me on Twitter, or find me on Microblog. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Judy. Hi, everybody.
Let's see. Do we have any questions in your channel?
I think I saw a few that I intentionally didn't answer while I was watching myself and seeing the typos I made and so forth.
Well, yeah, you could go ahead and scroll through and see if you want to answer any of these particular questions.
Yeah, let me see.
And it might be helpful to repeat the question.
Sure. So Don already said that, just made a mention that the process to get it from a device is more involved than he thought, which I agree. I mean, and I always have to remember where on the device to go find the crash logs and everything else. It's going to be, if you have an end user do this for you to send you their Sysdiagnose file, that's going to be the hardest process, is just get it on there, because you can't, it's too big to email in most cases, certainly too big to send by a text message. So you need to get it onto a computer first, one way or the other. I find it's easiest to throw it into iCloud Drive or Dropbox as opposed to AirDrop it, but a lot of people will AirDrop it.
There's a good question here. What suggestions do you have for helping end users provide the Sysdiagnose data?
Yeah, honestly, that's why I built out those steps at the beginning of the presentation to such detail, because I thought it might be useful for someone to just send them this video as the first part of the video or the first part of the PDF, because it's not obvious. You do have to hold, both of the volume buttons and either the side or top button at the same time, and then it doesn't vibrate when you've held it down long enough. It vibrates when you've released, and if you release too late, the thing reboots. I have found, though, that at least on iOS 14, that if you let go when the little shutdown, emergency call, and so forth screen comes up, you let go there before doing any of those silly things, it's going to do the Sysdiagnose. You've locked the device where you need your passcode to unlock it. That's the security thing when you're going through TSA, and you don't want people looking at your phones. That triggers too. But the Sysdiagnose is logged in that case. You come back 5 or 10 minutes later, it's there. Someone asked if it can be triggered programmatically. I'm not aware of that. I don't think so. On Mac, you can do it from terminal, but it involves invoking sudo, which you can't do from at least certainly a typical iOS app. Very good. Again, if anyone has any questions afterwards, let me know. I'll be at the conference all week, and you can find me all over the internet.
Thanks a lot, Mitch. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back with Cameron Deerdorf.